Clearly, I think there's a link between environmental conditions and like going through a drought and poor mental health, having multiple floods and mental health, bushfires and mental health.
It's National Farm Safety Week this week, and I talked to Gippsland farmer Nick Blandford about mental health, climate change, and the importance of having a plan.
It is a really difficult job to do and to do well. So much of people's identity gets tied up in being a farmer and being successful, whereas so much of that is almost out of control. Like you can have bad season after bad season, a couple of years of drought, and you might be doing the absolute best job you can, but you're still not doing well as a business, and that can be really draining and tiring. I still think there is this sort of perception in rural areas that farmers look down upon, and particularly around climate change, that can have a real impact in the way that we're dealing with climate change, in the actions and steps we're taking to mitigate our impacts on climate. There's a lot of feeling, I think, in sense in farming that, we're not appreciated for the job that we do. One of the really big things with farmers is actually having really good planning. Most of the people that have really poor mental health outcomes on farms are the people that don't have good plans about how they're going to tackle the next sort of the situation, or like say if there's a drought coming up, if they don't have a good plan and they get stuck in that rut of having to feed sheep or feed cattle, or crops are failing, that can be really difficult to deal with. Whereas if you've got a plan prepared to start with and you know what's going to happen, and you kind of go, okay, don't get that decision fatigue about what we're going to do next because you've got the plan already in place. Like awareness of mental health has really improved, but that actual taking the step to go, okay, I actually have a mental health issue myself, to be able to check in and go, I'm not coping, I'm not going well, I need to help, and then to take the step to actually access some kind of service. That's such a huge barrier for people to overcome, and I don't think we're dealing with that particularly well. Clearly, I think there's a link between environmental conditions and like going through a drought and poor mental health, having multiple floods and mental health, bushfires and mental health. There is that kind of sense of doubt in my mind as a younger farmer. Like I'm 40, considered a younger farmer. Climate change is making it harder to do this, to run a business successfully. So do I have a future doing this for the next 20 or 30 years, with the potential of climate change making it harder and harder to run a profitable business? Like, absolutely, we need solar farms and we need forestry transitions, but then it's also the complexity of like a climate change action. Am I going to be able to run a business that is carbon neutral? Am I going to be able to run a business that has a market to sell into if I'm not carbon neutral?